need nutrient elements along with energy. Out of these nutrient elements, some nutrient elements such as carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, all these are required in relatively greater amount than the others. All these nutrients that living organisms derive from the earth for their growth and metabolism are called biogeochemicals. So what are biogeochemicals? Biogeochemicals are those nutrient elements that are derived from the earth by the living organisms for their metabolism and growth. These nutrients are absorbed by the plants to make food, and then food is utilized by the consumers of various food chains like animals and human beings. When a living organism dies, then decomposers decompose its body and release the essential nutrients back into the soil. This cyclic movements of nutrient elements between the biotic components or living organisms and the abiotic components or non-living things are called biogeochemical cycles. These cycles are also called nutrient cycles. So biogeochemical cycle can be defined as the cyclic flow of nutrient elements between the biotic and abiotic components of the biosphere is known as biogeochemical cycle or nutrient cycle. These nutrients circulate and are used between the living and non-living components. This constant interaction between the biotic and abiotic components of the biosphere makes it dynamic but a stable system. Stable system means that there is a sort of balance maintained between the various components of the biosphere. The interactions between the different components of the biosphere consist of transfer of matter and energy between them. So, a constant interaction between the biotic and abiotic components of the biosphere makes it a dynamic but a stable system. These interactions consist of transfer of matter and energy between the different components of the biosphere. Friends, now let's start with the first biogeochemical cycle, that is water cycle. So what is water cycle? The cyclic process in which water evaporates, falls on the land as rain and later flows back into the seas and oceans via rivers is known as water cycle. There are different steps involved in the water cycle. Let's discuss them one by one. The first step is evaporation of water. In this step, water from the water bodies evaporates due to the heat of the sun and converts into water vapor. It means the water evaporates from water bodies such as oceans, seas, rivers, etc. and goes into the atmosphere as water vapor. Even plants release water vapor into the atmosphere by the process of transpiration. The next step is condensation of water vapor. In this step, water vapor present in the atmosphere condenses to form tiny droplets of water. These water droplets along with dust particles form clouds. What actually happens? Water vapor condenses to form tiny droplets of water. These water droplets floating in the air along with the dust particles form clouds. What happens after the formation of clouds? When the clouds become heavy, then water fall as rain, hail or snow on the earth, and this is called precipitation. So water from the clouds falls down on land in the form of rain, hail or snow. The water that falls on the land does not flow directly into the seas or oceans. Some water seeps into the soil and becomes a part of the underground water. Some part of this underground water returns to the surface of the earth in the form of springs, and some of the underground water is brought by us on the surface of the earth for our various uses with the help of wells and tube wells. In this way, water circulates again in the nature. And what is this circulation called? This circulation of water is called the water cycle. So what is water cycle? Water cycle is the constant exchange of water among sea, land, air and living organisms. Now let's quickly revise the steps involved in water cycle. Surface water evaporates and becomes water vapor. Next, this water vapor condenses and forms clouds. What happens next? Then there is precipitation of water from these clouds. It means water falls on the earth in the form of rain, hailstones or snow. Some of the rainwater seeps into the soil and becomes a part of the groundwater. Some groundwater comes back to the surface in the form of springs. Some of the groundwater is brought on the surface for our use through wells and tube wells. The surface water again evaporates and the cycle continues.